2017. We're going to start with the invocation and the pledge. And if you'd like to join us, please stand.
Let us pray. Father, Lord, we thank you for this wonderful day. We thank you, Father, for the decisions that we have to make. And we pray, God, that you give us discernment and wisdom as we try to make the best decision possible. And we ask, God, that everything that is said and done is for your glory and your honor. We ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you have a cell phone or a pager, if you would turn it down or turn it off at this time to avoid any interruptions. We're going to start with some general business, the approval of the minutes for the regular meeting held May 2nd, 2017, subject to any necessary corrections.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second, and I would like to comment on one item here, just a minute. It was SP 3439. It was with Mr. Chris Amos. I believe I had them put the 10-foot type E buffer in front on the right-of-way as part of the motion. I'd just like to modify the motion that we had made on here to add the 10-foot easement type E buffer with the site plan approval to the minutes. Okay.
I would like to amend my motion to the corrections that Chairman stated.
There you go.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
All right. Further discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. Item number 2, consider an amendment to Section 2-19-5 of the Code of Ordinances to allow the Board of Commissioners to establish a schedule of meetings for the planning commissions and to clarify that 4 votes are necessary to transact business. Under the proposal, the Mainland Planning Commission would only hold regular meetings for 2017 in July, September, and November, unless and until changed by the Board of Commissioners.
Yes, good evening. I'm Pamela Thompson, Director of Community Development. The purpose of this, currently the bylaws state that each of our planning commissions, both the islands and the mainland, will meet once a month. And due to our current staffing levels, we are struggling to meet the more than 40 deadlines we have every month before something even might have to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals or the Board of Commissioners. So at a work session, went to the Board of Commissioners and requested that we be able to bring forward this amendment that just says that that the Board of Commissioners will set the schedule of each planning commission meeting. And right now my recommendation is only one commission meeting a month and alternating which that is. And again, this month shows you that y'all would start in July and it would alternate back and forth. Those meetings would then be held the 3rd Tuesday of the month, excusing Thanksgiving when it would be the 2nd Tuesday of the month. The Island Planning Commission heard this at their meeting. There was some conversation about clarifying that the 4 votes make a motion, but the text amendment did pass with recommendation for approval of the IPC.
Okay. That is, well, 4 votes, period, for approval.
Correct.
Okay.
There was question about when people abstain versus when people are in attendance and that sort of thing. So
right.
The Attorney's Office took the opportunity to clarify majority.
Majority of the members, not the majority of the quorum. So if you have 5 people and 3 vote for and 2 against, it doesn't pass. Or are we talking?
It's the majority of the quorum present.
Okay, that's different than well, this says 4 members.
It's the number of votes versus the number of people.
4 votes are necessary to transact business. Well, 4 votes, and it can go either
yes,
way.
Sir.
Then
we had a question where there was a quorum, but someone had abstained rather than voting, and so there were not actually 4.
Okay, there
for
just has to
or
be
against votes. So
4 voting members, not 4 approvals for to pass.
So a 3-to-1 vote would win if only 4 members were present at the time of the meeting.
Correct.
Okay. I'm with you. Is this something that's going to require a vote from this commission?
We're respectfully requesting your recommendation to move forward. It did not require advertisement as a public meeting at this meeting or the IPC. It has been publicly advertised to be considered by the Board of Commissioners at their June 15th meeting because it is their ordinance that they would be amending.
Okay, and this is not a public hearing item?
Correct.
Okay. I don't have a problem with it. Commissioners, weigh in.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? All in favor signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous.
Thank you, and please know we are still actively seeking to recruit staffing in our division, and as soon as we achieve that and are able to meet those deadlines, we will go back to the Board of Commissioners after consultation with both commissions to return the meeting dates back to each commission meeting monthly.
Okay. It's going to make the meetings a little bit longer, possibly.
Possibly.
So, okay. Next item, public hearing items, zoning applications. Public hearings will be limited to 30 minutes for each opposing side, with 5 minutes allocated for each individual speaker. Comments are to be limited to relevant information regarding your position and should avoid being repetitious. If your group has a spokesperson, please allow that individual to present your group's position in the time allocated. Your cooperation in this process is greatly appreciated. No theatrics, no outbursts from the audience. If you'd like to say something, please come up to the podium, okay? And we will allow you to speak. First item, ZM 3494, Smith & Son Seafood. Consider rezoning request for a planned development Golden Isles Gateway Tract to light industrial for the purposes of developing a new cold storage building located on State Road 99 at Petersville Road. Parcel ID 03-12109. Don Hutchinson, Planning and Design Services, LLC, agent for Gene Smith, applicant, and Stuart Tate, owner. Showtime.
Excuse me, Mr. Dagenhart, do you mind opening that file for me? Yes, sir. And it's part 1. Thank you.
No.
Please, I can't see which one is part 1.
Pam, for the record, I will have to abstain from voting on this particular one. I do have some dealings with this particular client on some other businesses.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Neville, for letting us know. Again, I'm Pamela Thompson, Director of Community Development. This is a request to rezone approximately 73.78 acres off of Petersville Road at Highway 99 from Planned Development General, the Golden Isles Gateway that was approved in December 1999, to limited industrial. This is the location of the property. My mouse.
Guess I did it.
Oops, I apologize. Let me go back. That took a little bit to load. This is the existing location map and current zoning of that property. And this is an aerial photograph of the property. These are condition sites out at the property now. Again, this is planned development. They're proposing light industrial. The comprehensive future land use map calls for this area to be medium-density residential. The purpose of their specific request before you is to develop a cold storage facility on approximately 10 to 12 acres of the total site. There are currently no plans for the remainder of the property. The proposed cold storage facility would have operational hours Monday through Saturday from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. It's anticipated 25 to 30 tractor trailers a day coming to the property. This is a portion of the site so that you can see the area. This was a 3-tract when the original plan development was approved. They came in for an amendment to 2 of those tracts. This tract in particular was specifically not rezoned at that point because there were concerns that it was differently situated than the remainder of the property. So for this proposed use, it would need to be rezoned. And I may have just told you that before the slide that came up. To protect the surrounding residential areas, the uses were limited and access is only allowed from Highway 99. And as you can see, this is the plan that was from the original plan development text. The current text recognizes that if the park did not move forward, that an amendment would be required. Again, in 2014, they presented an amendment. The top 2 colored, the green and brown shaded, were changed. However, it was the parcel in white, which is the triangular piece on the bottom, which is the piece in question tonight, was removed from the amendment to undergo further study. These are the conditions that staff considers when preparing a recommendation, and staff does feel that the zoning proposal would permit uses that could be incompatible with the existing uses in the area, which the existing area is mainly low-density residential homes. The zoning could have an adverse impact on adjacent properties. It would increase truck traffic in a primarily residential area. Additional potential impacts include audible impacts associated with industrial equipment and increased emissions. I gave you the history of the text. When looking at the traffic, the property is located off of Highway 99, which is under the Georgia Department of Transportation jurisdiction. It's also in close proximity to I-95 and U.S. Highway 17. Access to the property will require a permit from the Georgia Department of Transportation, and it's not anticipated that the increased traffic would place a burden on the state or federal highway system, and previous zoning conditions on this property require no access from Petersville Road excepting any emergency access, and staff would recommend that that condition remain in place should this amendment be approved. The zoning proposal does not conform to the future land use map of the comprehensive plan. Again, the future land use identifies this as a medium density residential area. Staff is recommending denial of this request to rezone to light industrial for the purpose of a cold storage facility. There are your possible motions. The property was posted, a legal ad was placed, letters were sent to the adjoining property owners. At 4:56, I think, right as I was leaving my office, I did receive one citizen email that the citizen asked me to get it to you all, but I did not have time. It was from a Miss Angela Smeriglio, and she was opposed to this project, but she wanted you all to be aware of that. Staff is available if you have questions, and the agent's available if you have any questions.
Was she on the south side or north side of 99? Heritage Estates or from Petersville Road?
She just, if my recollection is correct of the email, she just said she was a nearby resident, and that some of her neighbors would be here tonight also, but that she had a conflict and could not attend.
Okay. Thank you. Would the applicant like to come forward and request action?
I'm Don Hutchinson with Planning and Design Services. There's a couple of things that was mentioned that I want to we're going to revise. The Smiths now own the property. They're not just buying the property, but they have bought it. And the site plan that's drawn on that drawing was just to show what we wanted to do. It doesn't have to go up there. We can put it right out in the middle. That's where we plan to do it anyway. It's out there on that big piece between the wetlands out there. So I wanted to get those two items straight before we... in my opinion, I just don't understand why this can't be rezoned limited industrial. You're between an interstate highway, a U.S. Highway 17, and a state highway 99, but yet it's residential. Makes no sense to me. It could be industrial more or better than residential for us. I mean, it's not sitting on the Albemarle Canal. So I'm just here to let you people know how I feel about it and why it was recommended by staff to not rezone it for denial. When I talked to staff, limited industrial is what they told us to try for, to put this cold storage in there, yet they come up with denial. So I have one of the owners here who would like to talk and tell you all about what they're going to do. So I think I've said enough on my part.
Okay. Well, I have a question, Mr.
Okay.
Hudson. Have they thought about maybe a new PD text for this track that might have other safeguards or other things that might make the adjacent residences more comfortable with it, possibly?
Well, possibly.
Okay.
Here again, who knows till we try.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Would your client like to come forward and speak at this time?
One thing, if possible.
Please state your name for the
My name is
record.
Walter Smith, Smith & Son Seafood. I'm one of the owners.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to acknowledge that y'all took time to say a prayer. That means a lot to me. Just want to say
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. Mr. Williams, that was very humbling. You know, there's several, for back up, first of all, we've been a resident of Brunswick for a long time. We moved our processing facility to Darien because a lot of the product we pick up from all the domestic shrimp industry is in Darien, you know, Darien and the East Coast, so it made it a little bit smaller area for us to cover that come from Brunswick. Instead of resident of Brunswick, we had our business in a residential area. Actually, we had to come through a neighborhood, and as we grown and God opened doors for us, we continue to grow, and we're going to continue to grow no matter, you know, what we run up against. Well, one thing stuck out to me with this piece of property is we 3,000 feet from 95, 1,000 feet from 17. I'm on 99. I own a dirt pit that we're in the process of development on Petersville Road. Already got a permit and everything. I own a piece of property on Petersville Road anyway. So I said it'd be ideal. I got my own dirt pit. I got the own, you know, supply my own dirt to the property. I said this piece of property stuck out to me because way back the history of this property was going to be a zoo. So the piece of tract I bought was where the security guard and all the parking lot was going to be. The only reason I stopped it is because of the funding. They never got the funding to finish the zoo. Anybody that lives in this area would have had to fight it anyway with the traffic. It would be a lot more than what I'm going to put in there. So that's what kind of stuck out this piece of property. And I was under the impression it was planned development when we purchased it. And we come with Glynn County. I had the first meeting with Glynn County downtown. They said that piece of property was segregated, set to the side because it wasn't, you know, part of it, you know, but which it was. So I kind of thought, well, you know, it would be ideal, you know, to bring some more growth back to Glynn County because basically what we do is we do all domestic. We supply your Winn-Dixies, your Bi-Lows, your Harris Teeter stores, MDIs, Lowe's, and we do a lot of domestic. That's what that's what we do. We're the largest taxpayer in McIntosh County, the third largest employee, and the largest water user over there. I thought this would be water and sewer would be a problem, which it probably is right now because of Glynn County having so much water and sewer problem. So that's kind of why this property stuck out. And then when I was kind of figuring when they said it was opposed, say denied, it might be denied, it kind of like, wow, why? So that's kind of why I come to see what would be, we draw it out, Don did, well, if we had to move, everybody says in Glynn County you were kind of 30 or 40 foot buffer. I said, hey, the property's so big, we'll make it 200 or 300 foot. Well, another thing that was interesting I liked about the property is Glynn County purchased a corner piece of property to move the Petersville Road over to the adjacent neighbor road and then put a red light up. And maybe y'all know about it, don't know about it, but that's what they're planning to do is move it. So there's another access for us so we don't clog up Petersville or clog up 99 and cause a traffic problem. The main reason is I got it is because of advertising. I was going to paint this, inside my building with our logo and people come up down 95 to market your product. It's kind of what I was going to do. You're like a billboard on the side of your building. Well, I couldn't get the piece of property right by 95. I haven't yet. I'm in the process of purchasing that whole piece down 95 if I have to, because that's kind of what I wanted to do. I got my mindset on. I don't want to cause any problem with residents or anything because, I'm a family type of guy. I don't want anybody to have any problems with trucks coming in and out, a lot of noise, but it's not like that. I mean, we have several plants. We have one in Georgia, have one in North Carolina, one in Louisiana, and we accustomed to all those people opposing, hey, you got too much traffic, you don't, it's not right, too much noise, the odor's bad. We know how to handle all those situations. So, I mean, that's kind of why I want to just, present it to y'all. And I think there's got to be some way we can come to some kind of agreement or something to get it rezoned and not have a problem with the neighbors. So that's kind of where I'm at now,
Okay. Well, we're going to hear the public, and keep an open mind. There's possibility that maybe a PD text where you could offer some mitigation. You need to hear what they have to say for it, and
it's going to be a really nice place. It's not going to be putting a lot of money there. It's going to be a lot of high-tech facility. It's not going to be pretty state-of-the-art.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank y'all for your time.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for the applicant this time? Okay. This is a public hearing item.
No, I'm in favor, and I would like to state some facts.
Yes, ma'am. I was getting to that here in a second.
I think she's opposed, is why I didn't want to.
Okay.
She's done it in front of me anyway.
This is a public hearing item. Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this application? Please come forward. State your name for the record.
My name is Miranda Smith. How are you? I live in Shadow Lake subdivision, so I'm at the opposite end of the Shell Road and the Ottamaha Canal. And I just wanted to point out from some of the things that this lady here mentioned about the semi-trucks and the traffic and the residential. First of all, I looked on the GIS mapping, and there's at least 215 feet from the very front property line to across 99 where Heritage Estates is to that property, which then is a thick wooded existence to another 200. It's a total of 250 feet to the first home. So that's a substantial amount of footage before you even step onto the property. There's a large enough tract of property for the site plan and the facility to be where no one could hear, see, smell this facility at all. I believe that they would comply with any of those matters regardless, but like I said, it's a huge tract, and for a 10-acre piece and traffic to go into that, I think you'd have to be criminally trespassing in order to see, smell, or hear it, and the motors of the trucks. As far as the traffic increasing, the road from Heritage Estates, the entrance of this facility would be prior to that. So any traffic that came off of 95 on any north or southbound, turning into a right-hand turn in is not even approaching where the residential side for Petersville residents or for Heritage Estates residents. So whether they've thought about that or not, these semi-trucks are coming off the interstate. They're coming from North Carolina, Miami, and they're coming off the interstate and they're turning in to this facility, which is clearly, as part of you're talking about the text, states that they have to come off of 99. The entrance cannot come off of Petersville Road at all. And I believe the initial back in 2009 or whenever it was stated there would be a 50-foot buffer. Probably they would want to fence it in and have a buffer to keep people off of the property. As far as the water, I believe that there were statements on there that they didn't have. They would have to have fire sprinkler system and also fire hydrants. When I built my home in 2000, Woodrow Sapp was the one that installed our private water and sewer systems there for Hardwood Forest, Shire Lake, the one at North Glen Park. And if, they weren't, I'm certain that if the water department wasn't able to come to an agreement with them, which I don't think is part of the planning commission itself, and holding up the zoning because of the water department, that's something between the applicant and the water department. That they could install something, a water system, a private water system like that was sold back to the water department, or however that works. I don't know how it works. But I don't think that part should hold up any rezoning, and I also don't think that the traffic that doesn't even approach the first road of Heritage Estates or Petersville has any effect on those communities at all. So I just wanted to make those statements.
Okay, thank you. Just to address part of that, once this is zone light industrial, any use allowed in light industrial can go onto the property, which is why I was saying if they might want to look at PD text possibly and maybe limiting the amount of industrial development or commercial development.
Well, I'm sure that they're going to stand straight to the cold storage and what they're doing. They're not in other businesses, but I think that was something they were willing to work with, and maybe they were not having suggestions on what to put in there, the amendments or secure text, like you're talking about the 50-foot buffer. I don't even think that's part of it now because it was dropped out of that group of property that was originally had the stipulations on it. So those stipulations, I'm sure they would comply with and come back to the drawing board.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Pam?
Yes, sir, Mr. Commissioner. Thank you for letting me. I want to clarify a point. Mr. Hutchinson did come talk to me early in the process about simply amending the PD text, for the existing PD text for cold storage. They weren't sure what they wanted to do with the balance of the property, and I did suggest that if they weren't sure what they ultimately wanted to do, to look through our existing zoning classifications to see what included the most types of uses that they might want, so that if they changed their mind or wanted to add something, they wouldn't be bringing forward a PD text every time they wanted to add a use. So I do want to clarify that that was staff's recommendation to give them the most flexibility in determining what ultimate use they wanted for the balance of that property.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've got a question for her. And so, even though he decided to do whatever he decided to do, you were still going to not recommend it?
He told me what use he wanted, and I told him as professional staff what zoning classification I thought that most appropriately fit in. I let them know at the time, without an application, we have not reviewed a specific use in a specific area according to the guidelines of our zoning regulations. So the professional recommendation we gave was merely what we thought was the best zoning classification that would permit the use that they want. There were some other potential longer-term things that they talked about, so we helped them evaluate all the zoning classifications to see what gave them the most flexibility. For right now, cold storage is the only thing they absolutely said they want, but they had some other ideas for potential things in the future.
Okay. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this zoning application? Seeing none, is there anyone that wishes to speak against? We'll just go ahead and start at the front row on the left side here. and work our way back and then jump over to the other
First
side.
time you've done it this way, Mr. Chairman.
Done.
This is the first time you have done it this way, starting in one row and working your way across.
And the problem with that is what? The problem with that is what?
My problem with that is that I think I have information to provide to you that would help focus.
You're first up?
Yeah, yes, sir, you are first up.
Starting with you.
You're first up.
Yes, we're going to start at
You
the
first.
front row on this side and work our way back.
Buddy, we couldn't have been any nicer to you. That's what we do around here.
Okay.
Okay?
It's very hard for me to hear in this room, even with my hearing aids.
I understand.
I apologize. I'm Julian Smith, otherwise known as Putty, and I live on St. Simon's Island. I want to begin by thanking the planning staff for recommending this application be denied. But I want to talk about some problems in the report before you, the information that has come to you that needs to be addressed before you can begin to make a decision on rezoning this property. I think you need a better application and a more accurate one. You are being asked to rezone a 74-acre parcel to allow something identified as a cold storage building, which would occupy approximately 10 to 12 acres of the parcel. And I'm quoting from what's on your agenda, right there in the agenda in front of you. And I want to thank Ms. Thompson for saying this is actually a cold storage facility, which would include the huge parking lot and so on. This is not, I hope, a 10 or 12 acre building. If you look at what passes for a sketchy site plan, you will see that the building is about 2 acres in size, and the rest of the 10 or 12 acre parcel is taken up by buffer parking, etc. Anyway, it's not clear to me, and it's not clear in the application, and it's not clear from what I heard from those who spoke in favor of it, exactly what is going to happen there. The agenda says it's a cold storage facility, or a cold storage building. Is it going to be a processing plant? It's obviously going to be a place where trucks are going to come in and take stuff away. Are they also going to be delivering? Is it going to be just shrimp and crabs, all kinds of seafood, etc.? So I think it would be useful to have an answer to that question. The application before you does not explain why the applicant wishes to have the entire parcel, and now we hear that he has some plans. I think we need to know more about the plans. I encourage you to ask the planning staff to explain the last finding that it is, quote, not applicable, unquote, to consider, quote, other existing or changing conditions, unquote. Now, isn't that what you, the Planning Commission, should be doing in order to determine whether or not this application will be likely to result in the highest and best use of this land and in a situation that is consistent with what you will find in the preamble to your zoning ordinance. Now, although the staff report states that the application, quote, the application is complete and contains all the information required by the Glynn County zoning ordinance, unquote, it does not seem to include a site plan that meets the most basic requirements in the definition of site plan in our zoning ordinance. Quote, a plat drawn at a scale of not less than 1 inch equals 50 feet, unquote. Instead, the only thing that is available online to the public is a rough sketch in one corner of a revised survey bearing, coincidentally, the name and stamp of Mr. Neville, the chair of this commission. This survey has a scale that indicates 1 inch equals 200 feet, not 50 feet, as required. So you need an actual site plan in detail that the public can see and understand and react to intelligently. This sketch does not indicate where the access to the site from Highway 99 will be, nor does it indicate other information required for a site plan. I've only begun to scratch the surface of what is wrong with this application, an application which should not have been accepted as complete by county staff, but it has been accepted, which means the door is open for other citizens to come forward, and I certainly hope they will. Thank you.
Thank you. We will see a site plan later if this is approved. This is not for site plan approval at this time, and the base map that this is on was produced 10 years ago also, and I haven't touched it since.
The site plan is required in connection with this application?
No.
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 No?
No, there will be a site plan later. Now, more of a master plan type for the rezoning, but for the site plan, we will see that at a later time if this is approved. So, yes, ma'am, you are next. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Valerie Atkins. I'm a resident of Navajo Road. I am not going to talk about specifically the site itself because I'm not educated on the zoning processes. I want to speak to you as a citizen of the community that's adjacent to the property. The subdivision is called Heritage Estates for good reason. It dates back, it has Indian burial mounds going back to 800 years. The site also, specifically our neighborhood, was a site of where the slave quarters resided from Hoffwell Plantation. The site itself, the entire subdivision, is quite a historic property. In fact, I've dug up artifacts in my backyard that were from the slaves. And the state actually did some zoning out there where they were doing some digs for the Department of Transportation. I also live on 17, and I can tell you what it's like to have a jake brake from an 18-wheel truck coming down the street to stop at 99. The noise is atrocious. If you ever heard of a truck, an 18-wheeler hit a jake brake. So I'm imagining that this may, in fact, I don't know, but if it's a 24-hour operation, that alarms me. At 3 o'clock in the morning, am I going to be hearing jake brakes up and down the road? I also want to talk about the property that's adjacent to it on the other side. The property from Petersville to Highway 17 on that same side of the road, that was a slave cemetery. It is still a cemetery. There are still people buried there. And that is part of our history. The subdivision that is there was planned, obviously we all know that there was the canal, the Altamaha Canal that came through there. The property at one point was going to be the Heritage Park that the state of Georgia had, Heritage Park. I only say this from the compassionate point of we as neighbors in a community with homes on 1.5, 2.5 acre properties value and treasure our community. Right next to our community is the youth estate, Morning Star, which is a public school operated system. I can tell you just last week that the quietness of this community and why it doesn't need to be disturbed is because last week on a Saturday morning I walked in my yard and there was 8 peacocks in my yard that had escaped from the youth estate. I only mention that because the caretaker came back and gently herded them down 99. I cannot imagine if there was a truck factory with 12 acres of industrial that would not impact the quiet, subtle, and embracing community that we all live in. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you. James Horton. I live in Heritage Estates half of 45 years, raised my family there. This rezoning I am totally against. It's putting a work facility, bringing traffic problems, bringing truck right in the middle of 2 subdivisions. The Hutchison's family was out there on Petersville when I moved in, and starting there all the way down, there are residents in there, and we're going to introduce 25 to 30 trucks a day, possibly, according to the gentleman's statement. That is not a good environment. There are kids that play out there. These trucks in and out are going, as the lady pointed out very aptly. The jake brakes have been quite a problem recently. We're seeing that. The children are there. Petersville is not a good road to have a truck on. As I rode by this afternoon coming in, there's no edge line stripes on it, which means that it is less than 22 foot wide. You start using the edge line stripes at 22 feet. This did not have any. So with that in mind, those trucks are going to be hard pressed to get in there and stay on their side and not create a problem from the residents out of Petersville trying to get back to 17. And the other problem with that is these trucks, 25, 30 trips a day. You know what a pulpwood truck does. There are ruts all up and down Altima Avenue. They create quite a problem with the asphalt. And Petersville Road was built way, way yonder back when, and it does not meet the current criteria that either Georgia 99 or the spur does. So what I'm saying is those trucks are going to tear Petersville Road up. We don't know where the access to it is because, as the gentleman pointed out, the site plan doesn't give us that information. But they've got to progress somewhere down Petersville before they turn in.
They will not be using Petersville Road at all.
Well, we met previously when they were trying to do the pause, and we were told there would be no more cuts onto Georgia 99. This was by Georgia DOT in the meeting. There were several meetings held at that time, yes, and they told us there would be no other cuts because they were looking ultimately at 4-laning from 17 to the interstate. So there was not going to be any more on 99. They even were trying to cut down on 2 of the streets into Heritage Estates and put a traffic signal at one location, which is supposedly to take care of that traffic problem, since there would be not, disallowing 2 of them. So the road is not built to specs for that. Georgia DOT at that time said there would not be another road cut on it. So I support staff very, very strongly in denying this, and I appreciate your attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on this side of the room that would like to speak? Yes, sir. Come forward, please. State your name for the record.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Pete Peterson, and I've lived out there in Heritage Estate for about 35 years now. Like Mr. Horton, I've raised my family out there. Apparently, I'm not as rich as Mr. and Miss Smith. I've just got 2.5 acres, but I love my 2.5 acres. I don't want to have to move. I used to go to Darien, and I'd go down 251, and I don't know if they own that property or not. But you used to go down that road, and you couldn't hardly go down the road for the stench that factory put out, of the smell, of the excess seafood that they threw out. And that's what they're proposing to bring to our area, in our residential area. Ms. Smith spoke about, well, they're going to put this entrance up where it won't affect Heritage Estates. That can't happen. I'm 300 feet from where she proposes to put the entrance to this factory. 300 feet. And I'm going to hear these trucks 24/7, 6 days a week. I am vehemently opposed to this. How they can even suggest that they bring something like that into our neighborhood just irks me. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to jump to the other side of the room, start at the front pew, and work our way back. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Stu Graham, and I live at 125 Apache Road, which is one of the back roads in Heritage Estates. We have some questions and some comments about this. First of all, we're concerned about the notices for public comment that were or were not posted. I did not see any personally, and I have reported that the only notice for public comment was located about 1.5 miles from Petersville Road, down State Road 99 near I-95, which is a totally different section of property. So although it's been cleared up what property that is under consideration, we're all concerned about that. We're concerned about the traffic traveling near and through the industrial neighborhood. As been stated previously, the trucks with the Jake brakes, hours 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. is 18 hours a day for 30 trucks, which is more than 2 trucks an hour, on a relatively small state road, Georgia 99. We're concerned about how many employees will be moving in and out, causing additional traffic. We believe that traffic will be heavy, constant, with loud trucks, and how do you minimize the impact of that noise and diesel vapors and just the industrial impact on that area? I'm not sure. We're concerned about the odors that will emanate from a seafood facility. And we believe that odor won't stop at 8 p.m., and it will waft more than 300 feet, especially to the houses that are immediately adjacent to Highway 99. We're worried about the property values. Right now, we have a very quiet community, very intact community that sticks together, and we'd like that to stay there. This is a neighborhood area on both sides of Highway 99, Heritage Estates and Petersville community. It always has been, and we believe it should continue to be. This is proposed in the immediate vicinity of the Hoffwell Plantation and the historic Altamaha and Brunswick Canal, as well as the Youth Estate area. Further, there are ample light and heavy industrial areas available in Brunswick and Glynn County, including 2 industrial parks, one on Highway 17 and the other one at the airport, which has much more facility built to handle this type of facility, built to handle this already, and there's ample room for it. There's no need to create another industrial park, and 74 acres becomes an industrial park. Although they only propose to use 10 acres now, I've heard further expansion many times in the discussion tonight. We're very concerned about that. We believe the airport, Highway 17, and even Darien has an industrial area very close to Highway 95. I don't want to take business out of Brunswick, but we have 2 industrial parks as well as much available industrial areas that are already there and underused. We believe that Highway 17 and 99 intersection is already overstressed. And if you don't believe that, just read the accident reports. And there are terrible accidents there. And earlier it was mentioned that only traffic coming in from Highway 95 would turn into this light industrial area. I have to believe that Highway 17 would be used also, especially with access, as was stated earlier, to Darien and the Brunswick ports. Does not necessarily limit traffic to Highway 99 and the interstate. As far as the entrance not impacting the Heritage Estates area, there's no way that can be built without crossing the historic canal area, which I believe is a designated historic area, and contrary to use of that. They propose to put the cold storage area in the middle of the property, but rezone the entire 74 acres. Do we have to follow Washington and pass this before we read it? And the only way we can read it is to have it impact the community, and then it's too late. But 74 acres in the immediate vicinity of this intact community, I believe is not appropriate. And I've been handed a note from several of my neighbors, and it says, it's very simple. We don't want any industrial area immediately adjacent to heritage estates off Highway 99 and at Petersville Road. And thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I would like to ask the chair to request Director Thompson to come forward and answer the question about advertising on this property, because that pops up so many times, and I don't think our department has the opportunity to come forward and say, well, we did it the correct way, we know it was posted. So if it's all right with the chair, I'd like Ms. Thompson.
Yes, sir. We did post the property. We are required to post it on the property closest to the right-of-way to the property where it's located. We posted it both for tonight and we posted it for the June 15th board meeting, so it actually currently has 2 signs on it. We did run legal ads for both of those that were placed in the Brunswick News, which is our legal organ for public notification, and we did send letters to every property owner within 200 feet of this parcel.
Okay. Thanks, sir. All right.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak against this rezoning?
Relative to posting, there was only one.
Could you state your name for the
Edward A. Trouts, 461 Choctaw Square.
Yeah, thank
you. I'm in the back part. So the bottom line is relative posting, the only sign I saw was in the curve of 99. So you come around you're going into the curve, and there's this yellow thing that's maybe the width of this podium. And that's all I ever saw. Now, if they're posting in the Brunswick News, basically that's because I don't subscribe to that, so that I'll never see that posting. And so my other expertise, I just want to talk briefly, is I was a truck driver for 8 years, and basically they really can't make any assurances relative to the trucks, because what happens is truck drivers, they take a left instead of a right, and they're coming down a residential area, and they're doing damage because they try to get out of the residential area, which is immediately across. They'll park on the right-of-ways on Highway 99 because they run out of hours, because they have service hour limitations, and if they get stuck in the facility, they basically have to find a safe haven. That safe haven can be Peterville Road, or it could be back in Heritage Estates. So it's not just a Jake break. You got novice drivers, you got experienced drivers, you got over-the-road drivers don't give anything about anybody. They just have to make their hours, and they just, there is DOT regulations around trucks, and those DOT regulations are specific. Otherwise, the truck driver gets into violation situations, which goes back to the company, which also goes back to the driver. So in essence, they're going to bail out if they run out of hours. So that's pretty much what I had to say, because truck drivers are very independent type of people, and the company can't control them, because and he's dealing with some of the major suppliers in the South. I mean, we're talking Winn-Dixie, we're talking Harris Teeter, we're talking major supermarket chains. So there'll be a lot of volume, and my guess is it's 25 now, but they're currently in a facility that only has 20,000 square feet. My question is, how big is this facility if it's 2 acres? Which means that'll drive more trucks in there. I mean, they're out to make money, and that's the bottom line, and they're going to make money, and the bottom line is, how big is that facility? Is it 40,000 square feet? Is it 50,000 square feet? Is it 60,000? Are they increasing their size by 3 times? And those are important issues. That's all I got to say. Thank you very much.
Anyone else wishing to speak against this rezoning? We'll allow one more. Please state your name for the record.
I am Vivian Whitfield, a resident of Heritage Estates since 1985. And I just want to say, I thank these people that came up that are concerned about our neighborhood. It's been a lovely place to live all these years, and I'm in total agreement with the ones that have complained, and for the various reasons. They have a justified reason to complain. And I'm in total agreement with that. And a couple of things I'm really concerned about is for years we have tried to get water and sewage that was run on this property right across the road from us for years, and we've never been afforded that access. And I don't really understand that, how these people can come in and get all the attributes that they get. Also, I heard something about fire hydrants. We haven't been able to get fire hydrants out there, which increases our taxes. We have to be 5 miles from a fire station, or we'll put a limit. I mean, we're increased on our taxes for that reason. And I'm just concerned how they can do it and we can't. That's my main concern. And I do hope that everybody that lives out there will speak up and have the opportunity to object to this. There are other industrial parks, and I agree with that. And I would just like to ask the property owners if they would like to move this property or this industrial facility in their neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm sure the Joint Water and Sewer would love to put water and sewer in your neighborhood, but they're not going to pay for it themselves. So they would allow it if you'd be willing to pay for it and have the engineering done, I'm sure. So allow one more.
I'm Sharon Mobley. My husband Cricket is the president of our homeowners association, but he couldn't be here tonight. My family, we've lived out there for 30 years. We've built 2 houses out there. As you see, the group we have here, we are adamantly opposed to changing the zoning to anything from the residential that we fought for before when we had to fight the zoo. East of the canal, we don't want it ever changed. We would like it to stay residential as it is. We don't want any kind of commercial, light, industrial, or anything over there. That's, as Mr. Graham said, it's quite simple. That's how I think all of us here from Heritage Estates and Petersfield Road feel. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Come forward, please. And after you, I would like to allow for rebuttal by the applicant or his agent on this.
Hello, my name is Deborah Strong, formerly Deborah Parkhurst. I've lived in Heritage Estates since 1979. When we moved to Georgia, we asked the realtor to find us a place where we didn't have to smell the pollution. And that's where he showed us, and I'd like to keep it that way. So I'm opposed to the industry. But more than that, I was on the school board when we approved the Gateway project, well, when we did the roads and the schools out there. And at that time, I noticed what was zoned across from my neighborhood, and it was all multiple family residential. And I would like that, if there's any development, I'd like to be consistent with what we approved. And I think there's not the infrastructure there. Everybody's already said that. We have, it's a small neighborhood where we don't have good lighting, we don't have sidewalks. So when I walk my dog around the block, I have to walk up on 99, and I already have to walk in the road because the grass there's fire ants and everything in the grass. And I'm going to be having to try to walk a little dog with all that traffic, and I just wish that we could be consistent with what we approved to begin with. And the nuisance laws in Georgia, did they change? That if you move to the nuisance, you don't have a rebuttal, but we didn't move to this nuisance, and we'd like the nuisance not to stay there or ever be there. And that's basically all I have to say.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to allow the applicant or his agent for rebuttal. Any comments, if you would?
Sitting and listening at several comments, I guess what come up the most was 25, 30 trucks a day. The gentleman just spoke about DOT regulations and all. Well, we own our own trucking business, so we own our own trucking company. So we own a lot of trucks. So a lot of those trucks you see come out will be our own trucks. Is there other trucks going to be coming in? Yes. I guess at my age, I'm at the age where I want to work smart, not hard. I don't want to work all night. That's I just have to. I've been there. I work day and night. I don't want to keep these people up 11, 12 o'clock at night with stuff coming out of there. We're going to have a 7 in the morning to about a 4 in the afternoon, 5 o'clock crew coming in. Be there during the day. And at nighttime, we're going to have a group of guys, maybe 3, 4 guys. They go pull product overnight so we can ship during the day. They'll go in the freezer and they'll pull at night. Somebody asked how big the freezer is going to be. It's going to be about 105,000 square feet when it's over with. The first we presented was a first phase, which is about 55,000 square feet. And like we talked, we don't know what part of the property it's going to be on. There's concerns about kids playing. Oh, I done broke something. There's concerns about kids playing in that area. Not arrogance, no disrespect, but if your kid makes it all the way to 99, then you need to be took somewhere. That's how I look at it, because it's a long ways from 99 to the first house. Your kid shouldn't be playing the road to start out with. Second of all, they're going to eventually widen that road through there, because they're going to do that from whether whoever sells the residents or whatever. That's really not really can be stopped, because they're going to come off. You say they did a 99, exit 42 is what I call it. How they widen that intersection there. They're going to come off there and eventually go, because of 95, when they have fatalities, they shut the interstate down, they're going to route them through that way. There's no way to prevent that. It's going to always be that way. Maybe, let's see, some employees. We're probably going to try to keep it under 50. Somebody asked the facility's 10 acres. I come up with a 10-acre number. The actual property would probably take about 5 acres to do what we're going to do. About 2 acres is 44,000 square feet and then some change in an acre. So you can have about, over 105,000 square foot of facility. So you probably about 5 acres would give you the parking lot and all. But the gentleman made a comment, when you're out of hours, they'll park over in a subdivision, they'll park side of the road. We don't allow our drivers to. When they run out of hours, they got to get to a safe haven. They're going to have a security guard there 24 hours a day watching the facility. And back to somebody said something about odor. Yes, we have a plant in Darien. We have a seafood plant there. Adjacent to our seafood plant, which I tried to purchase, is a shoe factory where they used to make boots for the military. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. It's right across the street from the sheriff's office. Well, there's a jelly ball factory in McIntosh County. They're fighting because of odor. They're personal friends of mine. We do a lot of stuff together. Of course, they unload shrimp boats and all at their dock for us. They were storing jellyfish and processing jellyfish across the street from our facility for months. We all dealt with the odor. We all fought the odor. I didn't fight it because, of course, they're friends of mine, because I deal with seafood odor myself, but in a mild way compared to the way they was processing. They was processing without the agriculture's, specifications and all. But I think I could probably relate and understand what everybody's saying. The young lady said, who would want anything in their neighborhood? I mean, but it's not really in a neighborhood when you look at it. That you figure that the piece of property we're on, the one right next to it where the canal comes through, that's going to be commercial. One day from that canal, you and I will probably see it from that canal all the way to 95. There's probably going to be some truck stops. There's 2 already in the process right now of looking at that piece of property. They haven't presented anything to anybody here yet. It's Pilot and the Loves. They're looking at when you come off exit 42 and you go towards Peterville Road, they want to buy that from right there all the way to the corner of our property, because they've already approached us because they see it in the books where we have purchased the property. So they're already looking at that whole corner now. They talking about 50-acre truck stops. That's pretty big. So that's coming. I don't know, and I think that's already, maybe I'm not correct, but I think that's already commercial, right? When you get off 95, ain't that already commercial?
Portions of it, I believe.
Yeah, it's already commercial. They've already several truck stops looking at there and across the street, because I'll tell you why. It's interstate frontage. We looked at the other side of where Driggers and there's a Trade Winds, the big piece of property they have behind the rest area.
Yes, sir.
I tried to buy a piece of property there. They said they wouldn't sell me at least 50 acres minimum. And they wanted somebody to buy 100-acre tracts, because I think they own it from there all the way to Toyota place. Where the Toyota guy's the one that has the binder on it now. He has a big portion of that he's fixing to purchase through there. And they're in the talks and negotiations, so that kind of fills it out for us. I wanted to be on the other side of the interstate so I could see the actual cars going by. But after doing some research and understand the people that's already coming there besides me, if I move, there's going to be other people coming anyway to develop the truck stop. So what my vision was, is when they come off 95 and they take that whole corner that's commercial where the zoo is going to be, that's eventually all going to be cleared. And when it's cleared, you'll see our building. We're going to be right there, because they come into the corner of our property. And that's already coming, because that's interstate commercial. And I'm sorry for these people. There's no way to stop it. Not when it's already zoned that. So I know I'm a problem. I'm in the middle of something that's going to be happening, but definitely I want my neighbors to be my friends. I don't want to have any problems. And it's going to be a nice facility. It's not going to be nothing shady, I promise. So,
well, could you, there was some concerns about additional, what else are you going to do with the property besides this plan?
Briefly. When I went to down to the county, I presented a plan to build the facility, and I was going to dig a retention pond, not a lake. In other words, I use the word pond, it's a lake. I was going to dig a big lake behind it, and I was going to put an RV park around it. Because people come off the interstate and park their vehicles and stuff. Then I thought about some other ideas, and I said, you know what? It's like what my wife said, I got enough to do. I don't need to get into a bunch of other business, but I own an RV. I go to RV parks. I love it. Meet a lot of nice people there. I said, well, that'd be something to do, because dig a retention pond to get rid of some of your, like your parking lot drainage and stuff, instead of going in that canal, because I knew that canal that was man dug years ago was going to be a problem for drain off going in there. And the lady mentioned too about the water and sewer and fire hydrants. Personally, we were already prepared to pay for it, to bring it all the way from the back of our property, which is where it was on the board with the V's at the back. I'm already wanting to bring it all. I'm going to pay for it to come all the way to the front anyway, because we use a lot of water, and so I was going to bring it to the front. I didn't have a problem doing that. I already talked to Don about my mother did, about the financial obligation of bringing it to the front. So I was already willing to do that, but there's a lot of options there. And I noticed today when I went home that they don't have fire hydrants. So I actually rode down Petersville Road looking, and I said, well, that'll be a plus. I want to accommodate whatever I have to do, because I'd want fire hydrant, sprinkler system we have to have in our building. So, I can understand. We've had a piece of property before. We had an asphalt plant coming. I remember we had an asphalt plant coming to right where one of our neighborhoods was one time. I remember everybody went up there and fought it, and loud noise. But I can understand. I really can. But it's not what it really sounds like, really.
Yes, sir. I understand. Well, there are a lot of them concerned about what it could be with that zoning, is all.
Yeah, I can understand that. And, I know the question is how big this facility, 25, 30 trucks a day. That does sound like a lot of trucks, but most of those trucks you see is our own trucks, because, we'll bring our fleet from there into there, and that's where they'll park, at there. So, coming in and out of there. It'd be a lot of our trucks. It'd be our drivers. It'd be under our, restrictions.
Have you ever spent some time with the Glynn County Development Authority?
Yes, I know every one of them very well.
Okay.
I remember all the way back to Phil Overton and all those guys.
They had no suggestion for you as far as a property that would be suitable for your operation?
The problem with the industrial parks, where we found industrial parks, even the one in McIntosh, is they don't have. We actually was looking at a piece of property in the McIntosh area, and the reason we opposed that one, and I was like right down wanting to do it, is they just put like $2 million in the infrastructure. So when you go in, you do this. And the guy that's a truck driver, I don't know where he's at in here, but he can tell you not everybody can drive a truck. So you go turning through it, like this, somebody's going to be in the ditch. Where the Development Authority, Wally, I don't know if y'all know Wally, and there, and Wally says, well, John, we go that back piece of property, we'll be right on 95, and we'll come off Kings Road and we'll put an entrance all the way in there for you. Well, the problem I got with the industrial park over there is I don't really have a lot of time to do that. So they've been saying it for years, they're going to do it. So you got a point. And over here in Brunswick, the only one I can think of in Brunswick would be, there's one they mentioned about a state patrol office. I went and kind of looked at that one. That was a kind of a ideal thing. The problem I really wanted to be close to the interstate is because you got a driver, and exactly what he said is I've found some of mine doing it, is you go into some of these big cities and you get into some, which is Brunswick's little, but you get into some subdivisions. And you trying to get neighbors to help you get out the yard and stuff. And I know if they come off 90, if I go to where the state patrol office is and put a facility there, they're going to have to come off 95 and come down 99 and hit 17 and go that way. That's where the GPS routes you when you put it. Right. I can't tell every driver, don't y'all get on 99 right there and take that road. You come off exit 29 and run 17 all the way down, which is a 4-lane road. You and I know you can't do that, so that has crossed my mind too. And Mr. Smith right here, he called me about 3 weeks ago and asked me all about it and was complimenting how good the property was going to be when I leased him a piece of property out there. So I was kind of shocked when he got up here, but he had a lot of stuff. He done his research, which I was impressed with that. But I just want to be a friendly neighbor, but I also want to be, maybe some of these people here, I can work their kids. You never know. So there's, never know what the future holds. A lot of them can work for me, could be key people in our company, to grow with us, and that's kind of what we wanted to do. My father started in 1955. We've been in it a long time.
Yes, sir.
And then we just want to grow. And Glynn County is where I've looked at some other places, Jacksonville, Savannah, but this just fits me here because of all the boats and the fishing communities here,
Close to home.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Smith, can you just clarify for everyone in here exactly what you will be doing at this facility? Is there speculation about processing?
What we're going to do is about two or 3 years ago, we started servicing Winn-Dixie, which is Winn-Dixie, Bi-Lo's, and Harvey's is owned by a group called Southeastern Groceries now. What we do is we supply them with all domestic fresh product and crab legs out of Canada. So we have our own trucking business. So two of Southeastern Grocers' largest suppliers were importers from overseas. And they bring various products that y'all see in the stores, your tilapia, your swai, and all that stuff. Well, all that stuff is brought in through your Winn-Dixies and all through us. It comes into a cold storage in Jacksonville where I have everything in a freezer in Jacksonville called Preferred Freezer. All that stuff will come in on containers. I was going with Phil Overton, you mentioned to open the Brunswick port up here about 5 years ago. 10 years ago I was going to do the same project we're talking about. They was going to move me to Colonel's Island, where the car place is. Yep. So get a piece of property over there. It was just, thank you, Jesus, it was ideal. The problem is the port wasn't deep enough. So I made plans to change with these importers and getting things set up. Well, meanwhile, they deepened the port. Y'all remember they just dredged the port years ago. So we was going to build the facility to cater to the Gold Kiss chicken industry. Load the chicken boat going to Russia. So that's what we was doing. So now we took this project on because our business has grown so much. We distribute so much product to them. They said, hey, will you take our product and ride on your trucks because you're going anyway and take the logistics side over for us? So we agreed to do that. And that's kind of what we're going to be doing. We're going to be bringing in product, putting it on, and we're going to be going to 5 DCs, which is Miami, Orlando, Jacksonville, and actually we had a Bilo on in Greenville, and we got a Montgomery and a Hammond, and then we do the Harris Teeter's, which is Harris Teeter backhaul was theirs. When Harris Teeter comes to St. Simon's and the Jacksonville, y'all see the St. Simon's store, and they have one in Florida where they come by our facility and they reload our facility and they backhaul. Mr. Smith here mentioned 20,000 square foot facility. He's right on the money. That's exactly what it is, because we're out of space. And we rent 4 different facilities we have product in of our own. We have product in Louisiana, we have product in Alabama, we have product in Miami, we have product in Jacksonville, I have product in North Carolina, I have product in Darien, I have product in Boston. I want to bring all that stuff to my own facility where I have 3 of my big importers. They pay a lot of money in cold storage fees, and my thing has always been, if you could keep it under one roof, you can watch it. So that's kind of what we're going to do, and that's why
So you're just going to warehouse here in this facility? I'm
a warehouse. I'm a warehouse there. I'm probably going to keep the facility in Darien to process. It's already set up over there. I've already got EPD discharge permits. They already got monitor my water every month. The flow coming in and out. I'm already agriculture. I'm already USDC, and I already have FDA coming in. So I'm already set up. So there's a thing that Walmart and some of the other places requires what they call an SQF certification. So this plant right here, the plant we have in Darien in the cold storage, it's just one exit down, exit 49. So we figured it would be best to keep it there because it's been successful there, and maybe do some remodeling or something. And if we do any kind of processing in this facility, it'll all be what they call frozen, transferring it from one bag to another. So that's kind of what we did in the plant in Darien, so much as we used to do a lot of co-packing for Walmart and different chain stores, so we sent all that to Louisiana. So that's basically all we're doing. I mean, it's really going to be odorless. I mean, we have our plant in Louisiana. We had the same problem that everybody was worried about, the odors, so we went on the outside of our plant, and we have these machines, this mist, like you got in your house, but they're big commercials, so when you pull up, it smells like bubble gum or it smells like cherry. So there's a lot of ways around odor, but unfortunately, you're going to have odor, but not at this facility. So that's basically what we're going to do, just store for other people and haul for, other people. And we're going to control a lot of the traffic flow because it's our own trucks.
And this product will all be yours? You won't be doing any third-party logistics storage for?
No, there's going to be some other people that I'm storing for, but I'm doing the distribution for them. I'm taking over all the logistics side.
Okay, but the concern, the reason for the question is, the concern was the number of trucks in and out. And the reason for the question is, will your third-party logistics increase that number of tractor trailers in and out per day over and above the 25 or 30 that you were talking about?
I don't think so, and the reason is because I don't think that we have plans to build a facility that big.
Okay.
Because this facility here, when it's finished and done, it'll hold probably right at 20 million pound of product. So I think that's going to accommodate for what we're going to have coming in and out. And like I say, we're going to try to control and keep the traffic at minimum. You got appointments, of course, when trucks coming in and not coming out. And we're going to try to do it from 8 to 4, 8 to 5 when a lot of these people are at work. Then when they're home with their family, I'm hoping we're going to be home with our family. That's what our goal is to be. Because I've come home enough nights late, 11, 12, 1 o'clock at night, your family's sleeping. I don't want to, I don't want to bother anybody. I'd rather, come in and out. But there will be, when you see it, there'll be a security guard there at night, every night. You see a handful of cars in the parking lot, and that'll be people that's pulling at night. They'd be in that warehouse pulling orders and sitting on the dock in each bay, staging it to go out the next day. So it's real simple, but it sounds complicated, but it's a real simple. But for us, it's simple,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Close the public comment portion. Commissioners, discussion? Motion?
I move to recommend denial of rezoning application ZM 3494 to the Board of Commissioners.
Let everybody speak up at one time. I'm going to have to second that, and I'll comment when chairman allows.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. Further discussion?
The trucking side of this, everything else this gentleman has, I think could fit and work. I don't see how you can get around the sound of that many tractor trailers coming down that small road. Even when it gets widened, that means there's going to be more sound. I respect his forethought to say, well, if it gets this property, it was actually further down US 17, those trucks would still have to come down that same road. So, I mean, you know, that wouldn't solve it. I just think there has to be a better location for an outstanding facility like this than right across the street from an established residential neighborhood. And that is my concern.
May I speak also, Chairman?
Yes.
And for me, it comes to that the new zoning does not correspond with the master plan, and actually I wanted to correct one of the ladies in this area. This is not zone residential, it's zone plan development general, so there are other facilities other than a residential that could go into that particular parcel. I just wanted that corrected, and fortunately or unfortunately, another commission, Board of Commissioners, approved the change of text from residential to plan development for the zoo. So it doesn't take care of the problem of reversing it back to residential. The only way that that's going to happen is if an applicant or an owner of that particular parcel asks for the zoning to be changed back to residential. So I'm just letting you guys know that there's other things under plan development general that could go into this piece of parcel, but changing it for me to light industrial does not correspond with the master plan for Glynn County.
A more limited use or well-defined is what you're saying on this particular site. Okay.
I think that would be, if I could comment, I think that would be something that I would definitely be comfortable with, because it's a little difficult because some of the things he can't control. He can't control the number of trucks and how they act and how they respond and what they do when they're behind the wheel and whatnot, and that would concern me in terms of the impact it would have on that community that's been established for so many years. And I would definitely encourage him to kind of fine tune it a little bit and be a little more specific.
Okay. Further discussion? Okay. The motion is out there to deny. All in favor of the motion signify by raising your right hand. That's 3. Okay, 3, and
Are you abstaining?
again, I am abstaining, yes. Okay. But we've got 2 more down here.
2 nays.
2 nays.
2 nays.
2 nays. 3 yeas, 2 nays. 1 abstention. That does not constitute a majority.
Yes, sir, it did. All 7
Okay.
of you were here.
Well, 3 to 2.
The majority of you voted.
Okay. All right. The motion is denied.
There's only 6 of us here.
I apologize.
Okay.
There's 6, thank you. But yes, 5 of you voted.
Yes.
3 voted to recommend
just-
denial of the application.
Okay.
And 2 voted opposed to that.
3 to 2.
Yes.
Okay.
We just have 4 people voting.
The application is denied at the Planning Commission level. This goes on to the County Commission at what date?
June 15th at 6 p.m. in this same room.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on to our next item, which is a public hearing item also. ZM 3529, Capitol Square 2. We'll wait just a moment for people to clear out.
On the voting?
Might take 30 minutes.
I'm lost in my papers.
No, I think the actual.
What would he have to do differently for it to fit into the plan development? Just a bigger
They
buffer?
just write their own text, right? They say, and they could limit it to, we're only going to do this facility. I mean, they could make it very limited to say, that number one, they're the only ones that are going to put something in there. Limit it to, 10 acres of development on it.
So they won't be fearful of expansion and all
No
that?
processing, but only storage. They could, but the problem is with a lot of these folks is the trucks. Sounds like. So, and the Smith family, they are, I don't know if you know them at all, they're very community oriented and all, they're very good stewards of the community. They're very family oriented. I do
Well,
work
they're
for them.
widening the road anyway. They're widening the road anyway.
They are widening it, yes, and there will be trucks going up.
Oh, it's going to be plenty of trucks.
A truck stop.
Next item, ZM 3529, Capitol Square 2. Consider amendments to the planned development text to allow for alcohol sales at 100 and 185 Capitol Square Drive, parcel ID 03-03351 and 03-12452. Chris Amos with CSEC Inc., agent for Southern Real Property Inc., Ridge Enterprises, and Prayan Milan Enterprises LLC, owners and applicants.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Again, I'm Pamela Thompson, Director of Community Development. As you recall from last month, this application the same property came before you for some amendments to the plan development text, and they had amended their request, and staff had not put that into the letter of notice. So in order to make sure there was clarity and transparency in what they were requesting, we're bringing forward the second separate request from last month, but it was absolutely not anything on the applicant's part. Again, this is ZM 3529 Capitol Square. It is planned for a La Quinta del Sol hotel. This is the zoning and the location map. This is the aerial photograph. These are the site properties, and if you see in the top left, that's the yellow zoning notice sign that we post on properties. This is 28.4 acres. It's currently zoned planned development. It is commercial multifamily. The future land use calls for a regional center. Again, in 2007, it was rezoned to planned development for multifamily and limited freeway commercial. In 2012, that was amended to expand the commercial acreage and allow some freeway commercial, highway commercial use. And then this year it was amended for development standards and agent information. The current request is to remove the wording "no drinking establishments" from Pod D of the PD text. It was not actually in the written language. It was on the concept map that was included in that PD language. This is the property. This is the site plan that was approved by you all contingent on that plan development text amendment changes from last month, and those were approved by the Board Commissioners at their May 4th meeting. These are the considerations for zoning. I have to flip to it in my book. I apologize. In the findings here, the proposed use of allowing alcohol sales on this property is consistent with the use and development within this planned development area. While the sale of alcohol could be considered a conflict with the adjacent school, there's a significant buffer and proposed privacy fence between the two properties. The proposed sale of alcohol will occur within the La Quinta as a secondary use. The zoning will not adversely affect the existing use or usability. The property does have reasonable economic uses currently zoned, and it does conform to the regional center as identified in the future land use map. Staff has reviewed this and recommends approval of amending the plan development text to remove the notification of no alcohol from Pod B, and to make sure that's clarified with the condition that drinking establishments shall be permitted as a secondary use housed within the hotel, actually written in the PD text. And staff is here if you have any questions, and the agent and applicant are here.
And just for clarification, this changes the zoning to allow them to apply for a liquor license.
Correct, you're absolutely correct. They still have to follow and apply all the rules, state and local regulations regarding receiving an alcohol license, including certain conditions and buffers and things that have to be in place if you are near a school.
Right, we're only allowing them the opportunity to apply for a liquor license.
Correct, thank you for that clarification, Chairman.
Okay. All right. Any questions for staff? No? Thank you. Would the applicant like to come forward and request action?
So I'm Chris Amos with CSCC, agent for the applicant, and we would certainly appreciate you guys considering this approval. As you pointed out, we still have to meet all the requirements of the alcohol beverage ordinance. The school is immediately adjacent to the site. There's no vehicular or pedestrian access to the school. There's a buffer. There's a cedar fence that's going to block any access between the two parcels, and the actual drive distance between the two is over a mile. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Pretty clear cut. Yep. This is a public hearing item. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak in favor of this rezoning? Seeing none. Anyone wishing to speak against this rezoning? Seeing none. I'll close the public comment section. Commissioners?
Oh, you're doing so good. Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend approval of rezoning application ZM 3463 to the Board of Commissioners with the condition that drinking establishment shall be permitted as a secondary use housed within the hotel.
Second. Got a motion and a second.
You still got to say something.
Further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. Wish they could all go that smooth.
One out of two.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to site plan approval. SP 3487, Mayor Construction. Consider site plan approval for a two-story, 15,649 square foot warehouse building with 5,544 square feet of office space at 10 Eastgate Drive, parcel ID 03-26410. Sombra Mayor, owner, and applicant.
Yes, sir. Thank you. This is the location of this property just in relation to the county. This is the location map along with the current zoning. This is the aerial photograph of the site. These are photographs of the area. And the property information, this is 1.09 acres. It's currently zoned PD, the Golden Isles Gateway. And to let you know, 3 of the site plans tonight are actually, this is the PD text that applies to them, so you received 1 copy in your packet, but it actually applies to 3 of the site plans tonight. It's currently undeveloped, and the proposal is for office and warehouse space. You can see the minimum zoning standards for that. This is the site plan. Here's the owner and developer information. This is the vicinity map. This is the coverage area, what's allowed, impervious, the legal description, and the development standards according to that plan development text. This shows, as you can see, several of the numbers, but it shows the buffering that's going to be on the site, the landscape, the parking, the site setbacks, the development setbacks. And this is the proposed underground detention for the site. And again, parking, buffering, entrances. This is the elevation, and you should have detailed elevations on your desk tonight in front of you. This is the FEMA flood insurance rate map note, and the exterior lighting will comply with Glynn County zoning ordinance, and that lighting plan is submitted at the time of building permit application. Here's the dumpster with its buffer. And here are the possible motions. You also have in your packet the review history from our development review team and all the disciplines that reviewed this site plan for compliance with county regulations. Staff does recommend to approve site plan 3487 as presented.
Any questions for the staff? Would the applicant like to come forward and request action, or his agent? Please state your name for the record.
My name is Bert Etheridge. I'm representing the client and Robert Civil Engineering. I would like to request y'all recommend approval for this site plan.
This is going to be a warehouse of what type of, it says construction warehouse, but nuts and bolts, nails and hammers? I'm just curious.
He would probably be able to answer that question better than I do know that it's going to have 4 offices, and the rest of it will be storage, and it will be a construction facility or a facility for storing construction. Is it wood and?
Well, if you'd like to come forward briefly. And I'm glad to see there's some action going on out at this industrial park finally, besides the licensing facility.
Okay, my name is Zsombor Mayer. I'm coming actually from Europe. My mom, she's Hungarian. My father is Austrian. I started here in 2004 in Sea Island building all the cloister hotels.
Yes, sir.
I have 5 companies. I have one more company in Europe, in Budapest, and I like to do the same thing. So this building will be 2 parts. On the left side, it will be a Meyer supply. So I like to bring out high quality stones from Europe. And on the right side will be Meyer Design Studio. So it will be also very high quality mobile furnitures from Italy and from Germany.
Wow.
Very good.
High quality what?
Furnitures.
Furniture.
For the interior design for the buildings.
All right. Good, clean, odorless storage.
Doesn't smell like shrimp?
That's right. Any questions for the applicant? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve application SP 3487 as presented.
Second. Got a motion second. Further discussion? All in favor of the application, signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. Next item, SP 3503, Fairfield Inn. Consider site plan approval for a 484 square foot fitness center addition and replacement of portico canopy for an existing hotel at 107 Gateway Center Circle. Parcel ID 03-14290. Larry Bryson, agent. Bruce Dixon, Dixon Management Group owner and applicant. Ms. Thompson.
Thank you. Mr. Dagenhart, do you mind opening the second Prezi file, please, for this one? Thank you all. And to give you some background, our zoning ordinance does require an approved site plan for the issuance of any commercial building permit, and Fairfield Inn submitted an application to build a 484 square foot fitness room and to add a portico in the front of the building, and that necessitated an approved site plan. When they originally built, site plan approval, such as the regulations today, was not a requirement. So that is why they are here with you today. This is an existing hotel. Please bear with me while I get caught up. And so actually the next two site plans are really close to one another.
Next door.
Is this the Holiday Inn Express? I apologize. I thought it was the... I apologize. I was on to the next Fairfield Inn. So this is actually a brand new hotel, the Holiday Inn Express. This is the location map with the zoning.
Which one are we doing, folks?
We're at the fitness center. Fairfield Inn. Uh-oh.
Yeah, you skipped over it.
Okay, so I heard Fairfield and I went to Fairfield. But the next one is actually Holiday Inn. So is that okay if we stay with Holiday Inn Express?
I tell you what, let me go ahead and read it into the record and then continue on with it. If we could, and then we'll roll over. This is SP 3502, Holiday Inn Express. Consider site plan approval for a new 4-story hotel with 88 rooms, including parking and associated infrastructure located on Gateway Center Boulevard. Parcel ID 03-15642, Larry Bryson, agent, Bruce Dixon, Dixon Management Group, owner and applicant. Okay, hopefully we can continue in the right order here.
Thank you. So this is a vacant lot that has a proposed hotel and needs an approved site plan. So these are the photographs of the area. This is the property information. It is 2.02 acres. This is zoned planned development under the same Golden Isles Gateway text. It's currently vacant and a hotel is proposed. You see in the bottom the zoning district. I want to point out the building height is a maximum of 35 up to 60-foot height, subject to approval from the fire chief. You actually have the formal written letter of approval from the fire chief on your desk this evening. This is the site plan. This is the owner-developer information and the intended use for this site. Again, 4-story, 88-room hotel. Location, this is the signed seal of the professional engineer. These are the development standards that apply to this property and the proposed utilities. This is a little zoomed out. This is where we have the ingress, egress, vehicular circulation, landscaping, buffers, parking requirements. You see the proposed sign locations, the proposed fire hydrants, and various water and details. This is the actual footprint of the hotel. Here is the underground detention system that's proposed for this site. The FEMA flood note map, the exterior lighting will comply with our ordinance and will be submitted at time of building application permit. Signage also will be compliant when they apply for it. And you can see the density on this site, and it meets all density and maximums as allowed in that plan development text. These are the elevations, side elevations, and possible motions. You have the review history in your packet where all the appropriate disciplines reviewed this for compliance with all of our county regulations applying to site plans, and staff recommends approval of application SP 3502 as presented. I'm available if you have any questions, and the agent's available also.
Did and this is from personal knowledge, did the subdivision application or plat get recorded for Lot 5, A and B?
I can't tell you that that's been recorded.
Okay.
But I can confirm that for you later, but I know that between this lot and the other one, we made sure that the site plans agreed with the property line adjustments that were being made to those two parcels.
Okay. All right. I know it's all been put through it's been reviewed and is ready to be signed, so, okay. Any questions for the staff on this one? None. Thank you very much. For the Holiday Inn Express, would the applicant like to come forward and, no, this is the Holiday Inn Express.
He went back and he did it. There's confusion.
She brought up the Holiday Inn Express. I was out of order, so, sorry, Bert.
That's okay. I'm Bert Etheridge. I'm representing the client, Robert Civil Engineering, and I am requesting a recommendation for approval of the site plan. And I just think that this site makes good sense. It's surrounded by hotels, and the way the PD text is written is a little odd, but it essentially gives a unit count for the amount of hotel rooms that can go into this PD text, and it is still way under what it can be. So
we need to build some more hotels then.
That's right. We need to build some more, and they need to hire us.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
This is not a public hearing item. Further discussion, or I'll entertain a motion on this one.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve application SP 3502 as presented.
Second.
Got a motion second. Further discussion? All in favor signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay. SP 3503, Fairfield Inn. I'll read it in again. Consider site plan approval for 484 square foot fitness center, addition and replacement of the portico canopy for an existing hotel at 107 Gateway Center Circle, parcel ID 03-14290, Larry Bryson, agent, Bruce Dixon Management Group, owner and applicant. Ms. Thompson.
Yes, sir. Thank you. This is the location map. The Fairfield Inn is an existing hotel. They are proposing to add a 484 square foot fitness room and a portico to the front of their building. This is the aerial and site photograph. This is 2.13 acres. It is also zoned planned development with the Golden Isles Gateway text. It is currently a hotel and will remain a hotel. This is the site plan. Here is the owner-developer information, the parking space requirements, and I believe their agent will have an amended request regarding the parking spaces required. Site coverage for this site. This is the vicinity map, the sign and seal of the professional that prepared this plan. These are the development standards for this plan development text. This includes buffers, ingress, egress, vehicular access, and again, all of this is existing. The proposed work will not increase the footprint of this area, of this building. Here's the elevations. That portico you see in the bottom right is what is being added that is outside the footprint of the building. The fitness center is within the existing footprint. These are the elevations of this property. These are the possible motions. You have in your packet the review history where all necessary disciplines reviewed it for compliance with all regulations pertaining to site plans, and staff recommends approval of site plan 3503. And again, I think the agent is going to come and ask you to approve it with one slight amendment.
I have a question about, I guess, site plan approval. This was didn't go through site plan approval years ago because it wasn't required at that time. What triggers site plan approval then on improvements for an existing structure if they're not adding rooms or?
Our current ordinance reads that an approved site plan must exist for the issuance of any commercial building permit. So because this was a commercial use and they needed a commercial building permit, it triggered a site plan. Staff's determination of that interpretation was confirmed by our attorney's office. This has actually applied to a couple of additions on existing properties that fall into this category, and it is on our list moving forward with the comp plan zoning ordinance update that we put in some clarifying language that something such as a smaller than 500 square foot addition within an existing footprint would not trigger a new site plan process.
Okay, it'll be a lot less work for everybody, I'm sure.
So that's going to be like that going forward, though?
Today, this is the interpretation of this, and it's on our list to request that be an amendment when we amend the zoning regulations that should come after we go through the comprehensive plan process and adopt that process, so probably another 15 months before that would come through.
So we might see another one.
Yeah, we'll see.
So, okay. Thank you. Would the applicant like to come forward one more time and request action?
You might as well just stay right there.
Can I just say ditto?
Well, we need to give you a paycheck, I think.
So the request that I'd like to make is for the parking. As y'all can see, we added 5 additional spaces. But before
this is in lieu of the
400 square foot.
484 square foot fitness
weight
center
room in the porte cochere.
Yes, sir.
So we had to add 5 additional spaces. But before I wanted to move on, I wanted to apologize to staff because we did not give them proper time to address this request properly. But essentially what we have is a hotel that was built in 1997, I believe, give or take a year. And it was approved prior to any site plans. There was 81 hotel rooms at that time. Since then, the hotel has removed a room, so now it is 80. And so we just thought that it was a bit much to have to follow the new site plan since it already met the requirements prior to the site plans. Am I speaking loud enough? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, they're talking.
So anyway, it was prior to the new site plan ordinance, so I felt like it's a bit much for us to have to add spaces. Plus, the client, I talked to them about it, and they said the worst parking that they had seen in the years that this hotel has been opened, they still had 15 spaces left over. If we need a requirement or a regulation, I would like to use the green space. I believe it is section 611.7, and essentially what it says is it's 450 square foot of green space to give 1 credit for a parking space, which equates to about 2.7 average parking spaces in green space to equate for 1 space of credit. Does that make sense? It's kind of hard to...
So for how many parking spaces are you asking for then?
I'm asking for 5, which would mean about 15 to 17 spaces in green space, roughly.
Mr. Chairman, if I could add to clarify that, the reason there was not a staff recommendation is because that request was recently given to us. But to let you know, again, his parking calculations, when the property was built, it met the regulations for parking spaces at the time. This is not adding any bedding units for this addition, and you all have the ability through your approval of site plan. Parking is one of the things that you can apply a variance to when you approve it now. So staff has not had thoroughly time to vet this. We do not believe that a 500 square foot fitness center would necessitate 5 new parking spaces if the site's been functioning as a hotel since 1997 or 98.
It's going to be a real popular weight room.
They'll need to submit a drawing that shows where this green space will be applied to on their site?
Yes, sir. They can amend the site plan if you approve that to designate the areas that are being provided to meet the requirement of that section.
Okay, we can prove it subject to.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Easily, yeah.
Question for the, for you.
Yes, sir.
Was there any way that he could have gotten grandfathered in because he met the requirements when he first built the hotel and not have to deal with that because they're not adding additional rooms?
That was kind of my thing with the site plan.
Because of the uniqueness of this and that this is actually you are absolutely going to see one or two more projects that were built completely in compliance with the regulations at the time they were built, but because they want to renovate or make an exterior addition, they're going to have to now have an approved site plan. We met with them at the beginning and said, if you can't meet any of today's ordinances, please let us know that so that we can see if we need to make any allowances or put forward any request with the understanding that it's an existing building. Technically, the site can meet the new requirements, which is what's shown on the site plan. They have just requested, in lieu of paving 5 parking spaces, to be able to maintain that open space and be able to maintain the existing site parking allowance.
Tree canopy.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Might want, and you can suggest they plant a tree there if you would like.
I heard the explanation, but I guess my question is, so you're saying you don't have the authority to grandfather them in?
No, sir, not according to our interpretation that any new permit, let me make sure I'm answering clearly. There are certain things when you approve a site plan that you all have the authority to vary certain requirements at the time you approve it. Parking could have been one of them. Could they not have met it? Staff would have come forward and said they couldn't. They met it at the time they were built. They can't meet the additional requirement if they were building brand new today, and we would request that you would approve that site plan with that deviation. So I administratively can't do it. You all can do it in your ability to approve site plans.
No, they can't. Your grandfather.
Okay.
So, sorry for the long answer.
That's okay. I got you.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe Will went through this a lot.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion, or I'll entertain a motion.
So I guess my question is, do any of these motions include the use of green space?
In lieu of the 5 parking spaces?
Yeah.
No,
They do not, sir, because this was created before this request was brought forward to staff's attention. I would recommend, if that's your desire, that you move to approve application SP 3503, accepting that the 5 parking spaces shown as required for the new addition not be required, that the existing parking requirements be considered satisfactory.
And the green space
And the
reserved for the parking spaces as required by the ordinance.
Yes, sir.
Did you get all that, Janet? Okay.
All right. All you got to say is so moved.
Okay. I'm going to take a stab at this. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve application SP 3503 in lieu of the 5 parking spaces. We accept the green space.
Alternative.
Alternative.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
Keep it short.
That's Reader's Digest version.
Yeah,
That's nice.
yeah,
I like
right
that.
to the point, huh?
That's good.
Second.
Got a motion, and that was a second? Okay, we have a second. Further discussion?
Yes, Larissa.
Seeing none, all in favor of the motion signify by raising your right hand. That's unanimous. Thank you. And our final item of the night, SP 3525, Popeyes, consider site plan approval for a 2,345 square foot restaurant with parking lot, paving, and utility facilities at 4933 New Jessup Highway. Parcel ID 03-04119, CSCE Inc., Chris Amos agent, Farmers and Merchants Bank owner, Verdad Real Estate applicant. Ms. Thompson.
Yes, sir, thank you. This is the location map and current zoning of this parcel. This is the aerial photograph. This was the site of a previous commercial development that's no longer there. However, many of the impervious site improvements still remain. If you're familiar, it is just south of McDonald's on that side of 341. These are photographs of the site. Here's the property information. This is 1.53 acres that's zoned freeway commercial. It's currently vacant, and the proposed use is a restaurant. And there are your zoning district standards. This is the site plan that was submitted and reviewed by staff. Here's your north arrow, the property title, the proposed Popeyes. This is the vicinity map. Here is the site showing the ingress and egress, the vehicular circulation, the proposed water and stormwater and utility information, and the footprint of the building. And this is the proposal for utilities. The utilities will connect to existing utility system in the New Jessup Highway rights-of-way. This is a detail of the landscape strip that will be along the frontage of this property. This is detail about the dumpster and the buffer that will be placed there. And here is your certification and signature of an engineer. These are the elevations for the proposed Popeyes. And here are your possible motions. You have in your packet the review history from the development review team, where all staff has reviewed all items applicable to review of a site plan, and staff recommends approval of application SP 3525 as presented, and the agent and applicant are available if you have any questions.
Okay. Questions for staff? Thank you. Would the applicant please come forward and request action?
Once again, Chris Amos with CSCC Incorporated. I'm here to answer any questions you may have, and we would certainly appreciate your vote to approve this application as presented.
No sewer issues with the JWSC?
No sewer issues with JWSC. We've met with the Department of Transportation both on site and in Jessup to look at the access. We've already applied for permits with DOT, and we have adequate capacity in the sewer system for sewer on this site.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
Is this the particular property that borders the marsh area there?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
There used to be a gas station convenience store on that site, and the building was torn down relatively recently. All of the paving is still there. So the footprint, impervious area footprint for the new site is slightly larger than what's there by 0.06 acres or something like that, but it's pretty minimal. Pretty minimal increase in impervious area.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Thank you.
This is not a public hearing item. Further discussion, or I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve application SP 3525 as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Further discussion? None. All in favor of the application or the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. That being the last thing, Ms. Thompson, anything coming up that we need to know about, or?
Yes, sir. I actually will be sending everyone an email. There is a training opportunity through the State of Georgia Zoning Administration. If any of you are interested, it is in September. It is in Helen, Georgia. Please let us know, and we can make arrangements to let you get that training. And if the Board of Commissioners approves the text amendment on June 15th or approves the ordinance amendment to change our dates, you all will have a July meeting. It would be Tuesday, July 18th, here at 6 p.m.
Helen, that's about a 6-hour drive. It's up on the border.
So carpool with your fellow commissioners.
Vacation.
Where is it located?
Helen, Georgia. That's up by the North Georgia border.
Oh, wow.
It's up in the mountains.
Oh, wow.
Sky?
Pardon?
How long is it?
Sky?
1 day, 2 days?
It's 2-day training. We just let you know of any training opportunities available. We're not saying that one is necessarily better than the other. It's what's convenient to you, and we just want to make those opportunities available as we become aware of them.
You going to put us in a 5-star
A 5-star
hotel?
RV?
The MPC RV road trip, and
There you go.
can get videos, film it.
Is it going to be like Animal House?
But anytime you want training, anytime you see anything, please bring it to our attention, and we're happy to provide ongoing training for you all to have the tools to do your job.
Are there specific dates in September?
There are. I'll be forwarding you that email. There's an email with all the information that'll come to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.